Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Friday. It is the 6th day of August in 2020. I hope you're COVID free today. I hope you're healthy. I hope that of your family in terms of food, shelter, and clothing needs, as well as health, are being met today. Blessings upon those working in the healthcare field trying to save lives, especially with now the second wave of this Delta variant of COVID, now also sweeping the country and killing millions, thousands of people here and others around the world. Be careful. Blessings also upon those that are picking up garbage for us to keep our places clean, those that make deliveries for us. Double blessings upon those that work in areas where they're trying to save boys and girls, babies, men and women from sex slave, human trafficking operations going on, child pornography, pedophilia, child molestation that's happening in homes all over the United States and around the world. Curses, double curses on those participating in these heinous acts. Blessings upon those trying to deliver people from these situations. Finally, blessings upon those that are homeless and those that are working on behalf of the homeless. 600,000 men, women, and children and families in the United States that don't have a roof over their head today. They're going to spend their weekend outside. And there's millions more around the world in that situation or worse. Blessings upon them and on those that are trying to help, for theirs is the kingdom. Today, with all the good news that we've had in Knicks Nation, this has been the most exciting summer that I can remember in a long, long time for the Knicks. The last time I can remember being this excited in the summer was when Patrick Ewing was drafted. That was the last time I can remember being this excited. We've had a lot of trade deadline excitement. Like I was excited when Latrell Sprewell and Marcus Camby came in a midseason trade. I was excited when they brought Bernard King from Gold State Warriors and brought him back to New York, and he starred for the Knicks for his prime years. I was excited when they brought Stephon Marbury back to New York from Phoenix. There was mid-season excitement. I was excited when Allen Houston when they traded for Allen Houston from Detroit. But in the summer, after a draft, and then after a free agency, especially the free agency period, I've never been this excited. It's been, if you're a Knicks fan, you should really relish this because it's not something that happens a lot. Having been a Knicks fan for more than 50 years, this is not something that happens quite often. So it's been a really exciting summer. But yesterday, we got some bad news in that Kevin Knox is not going to be able to participate in the summer league because of the health and safety protocols of the COVID disease, the COVID virus. This is very unfortunate. Kevin is in a crucial year this year. This is really a crucial year. Every year, let's put it this way. There are 30 teams in the NBA. There are 15 roster spots on each team and 2 G League spots on most teams, but not all. But there's 15 roster spots on each team. So that there's a total of 450 NBA players at any given time. Now, every team has people in these same situations as the Knicks do. For example, there are guys like, for example, Julius Randle or Derrick Rose or Kemba Walker, who have a guaranteed roster spot on their team for various reasons. Either in Julius's case, he's a long-term contract, a star, and it's not a question of whether he's going to make the team. And then in other people's cases, like Derrick Rose or Alec Burks or Kemba Walker, they not only have been stars, but they're established NBA veterans, and they can still play at a high level, play at an NBA level, and so they're going to be on the team. And then there are up-and-coming kids like R.J. Barrett or Emmanuel Quickley or Mitchell Robinson, who also pretty much have guaranteed spots because they're on their rookie deals, okay? And teams are not going to usually trade them. And then they've been also playing a lot. they've established themselves, especially in the case of Emmanuel Quickly and R.J. Barrett. They've established themselves as in their rookie contract as established players that are going to be on the team. So they're not going to lose their spot. Okay. Then you have people that have traded for, like Evan Fournier, right? So you have all of these type of players. Then you have players that are on the fringe who could be traded, or cut. Those are like Luca Vildoza, whose contract is not guaranteed. And you have Kevin Knox. Every year also, there are 60 new players trying to break into the spots somewhere among the 450 players through the NBA draft. Every year, 60 guys are coming for jobs. Okay, that's the way I look at it. And so for them to make it, somebody's got to lose their job. All right, their NBA career in jeopardy. And so Kevin is on the 4th year of his rookie contract, which is why I said before, especially we talked about Obi Toppin. The first 4 years of your rookie contract is extremely important to the rookie because they got to make a name. They got to have something so that at the end of that 4 years, the team decides either they're worth continuing to invest in or they're a keeper, and they're a keeper one way or the other, or they're going to trade them or just cut them. Okay? Kevin's on that fence right now. His first 3 years, the numbers obviously don't look good because he started off playing a lot of minutes. He played almost 30 minutes a game under David Fizdale. And that makes sense because David Fizdale was very influential in causing Scott Perry to choose Kevin Knox based on basically a workout that he had against Miles Bridges. So, coming out of Kentucky at age 18, John Calipari had said to the Knicks, and we all most of us anticipated that it was going to take a couple of seasons for Kevin to develop. The knock on Kevin coming out of Kentucky was his motor. What does that mean when they talk about a lack of a motor? In NBA basketball, you have a lot of games, 82 games. You play 48 minutes a game. Good teams have their players playing at a high level of energy for every minute they're on the floor. They play with a high level of energy. They bring intensity, especially on the defensive end of the floor, but in offensive as well. There's an intensity. There's hard cutting. There's hard running. It's a high level of energy that needs to be played on both ends of the basketball floor. This is especially true with a coach like a Tom Thibodeau. He's expecting a high level of energy to be shown on the defensive end of the floor, and he's expecting you to be in the shape to bring that same energy on the offensive end of the floor. He's expecting you to have understanding mentally of what you're trying to do in terms of what your schemes are in defense, what your schemes are in offense. Not only that, he's expecting you to understand your opponents thoroughly on their offensive schemes and their defensive schemes. Not only that, he's expecting you to understand who you will be guarding personally. The players on the opposing team that you're most likely going to spend most of your time guarding. And he wants you to know their tendencies, where they like to shoot the ball, what their strengths are, and how to defend against those tendencies and strengths. So there's a lot that goes into playing for Tom Thibodeau and in the NBA, where in all of that I just said, you're dealing with 450 of the greatest athletes on planet Earth that can play a game at a higher level than everybody else on planet Earth. And in a game where you literally have tens of thousands of human beings playing the game, and you have them playing in high school, in junior high school, in junior college, in Division III, in Division II, in Division I, and on playgrounds, and all over the planet Earth. So you have to be at a very high level to play this game in this league. And especially this is true again for Tom Thibodeau. So in his first year, as any rookie, there's certain things that every rookie has to go through. If you're a 7-foot rookie, or you're a guy with a high level, a 7-foot guy, or a 5, or a guy that plays with a high level of athleticism, like a Mitchell Robinson or a Jericho Sims, or Nerlens Noel, and when you're a rookie, you're going to have foul trouble. You're going to that's a given. You're going to come into the league creating fouls because of the level of competition, because of the level of athleticism that you're playing against and the speed that you're playing against. It's just a natural thing. Generally, when rookies come into the NBA, they have trouble adjusting on defense because they're not, it's the difference watching it on film than actually doing it. Okay? And so there's a lot of athleticism involved, a lot of anticipation, a lot of speed, a lot of knowledge, a lot of intensity you have to come with on the defensive end, just in general on the NBA. But this is especially true for a coach like Tom Thibodeau. So Kevin having a reputation as not having a high motor coming out of Kentucky was a strike against him. He was going to have to prove that he had a motor, that he could at least develop one. He was long, when he come out of Kentucky, 6'8", 6'9", looks like I don't know if it's a 7-foot wingspan, but it looks like it on him. And so he had athletic ability. He was gangly, so you figure he would grow into his body and that he would become, he could become at least physically and athletically able to play in the NBA. And you hope that he would have that motor that you would need to be able to play in the NBA. So his rookie year, he struggled. He struggled from three, but he showed a lot of promise. He still had lapses on the energy level, on the motor level. And of course, he had lapses on defense, bad ones. And so we saw a lot of bad defense, but it wasn't just him. David Fizdale was not a defensive coach by any stretch. They didn't have a staff of defensive coaches apparently because the Knicks played horrible defense that first year. But Kevin, given 30 minutes a game or 28, 29 minutes a game, it was really exposed. But he was a rookie. So he's a rookie. He's going to learn. Second year comes. And now Fizdale, being an erratic coach also, starts not giving Kevin a lot of minutes, apparently because of his defensive deficiencies. And now Fizdale's playing for his job. He's coaching for his job the second year. Of course, he would end up being fired midway through the year. But Kevin's minutes suffered in the second year because of the lack of defense and, again, the lack of a motor. Now, Kevin showed the ability to shoot the basketball, which is one of his strengths. He did not shoot the three-point shot at a high level his rookie year, nor did he do it in his second year. He showed slight improvements. This past season, he showed great improvements in his three-point shot. Okay? Because he's got shooting ability. But the lack of a motor came up again this past season and cost him playing time. At the same time that lack of a motor was coming, there came a new crop of rookies. One was Obi Toppin, the other was Emmanuel Quickley. There came veterans like Alex Burks that's been in the league a while and has an established game, and Reggie Bullock. And so Kevin's minutes really suffered last year. On top of that, every NBA player has nicks and bruises every season. Every season, every NBA player does. There's no player that plays, in an NBA season that doesn't get nicked up, bruised up, pulled muscles, sprained ankles. These things are common for every NBA player. But when you're struggling to play and you get nicked up, it puts you that far behind. Frank Ntilikina is prime example, which is why he's no longer on the Knicks. Now it's Kevin's turn. The problem Kevin has this year, aside from everything I just named, is the Knicks just got Quentin Grimes. That's going to also impact the playing time of Kevin. Right now, the Knicks starting five on the wing, on the 3 spot where Kevin's going to play, is R.J. Barrett and Evan Fournier. Fournier will probably play the 2 guard, and RJ will probably play the 3. Behind Evan Fournier is Emmanuel Quickley. Okay? Behind RJ Barrett is Alec Burks. And behind either of them could be Quentin Grimes. So Kevin's really going to try to fight with Quentin Grimes as a third stringer behind either Emmanuel Quickly or more likely Alec Burks. Now, if he comes ready to play and his motor is high, and he shows that he knows the defensive schemes and he's acclimated to the NBA now in his fourth season, there would be a possibility that he could play behind Alec Burks, because one thing, like I said, because of the nicks and bumps that every NBA player goes through, it used to be, when Clyde Frazier played, really when Walt Frazier played, and when Patrick Ewing first came in the league, and when Michael Jordan played, and when Magic Johnson and them played, it was not uncommon for an NBA player to play all 82 games. That was a common thing. That was not, you still applauded NBA players for doing it. They might miss 1 or 2 games. But generally speaking, a lot of them play 82 games. It was just a common thing to get ready for an 82 game season. Right now, it is very uncommon for an NBA player to play 82 games. It's uncommon. Most NBA players play around 77 games, 76, 77 games. And there's a lot more that play less than that. With today, with the minutes restrictions and how much money is being invested in some of these very high level stars like a LeBron James, like a Kawhi Leonard, like a Paul George, they don't play all 82 games now. It's pretty uncommon, because you basically, especially on winning teams, they want to save them for the playoffs, right? So Alec Burks would not be playing 82 games. He's going to get nicked up. It's common for him. He'll probably play in 70 games in a good season. He's going to probably play 70, 72 games. So that would open up opportunities for somebody else. Somebody, if they're ready. And Thibodeau does have this mentality of the next man up. That's how Frank got any minutes this past season, despite missing a lot more time again for another injury. I don't know if it was groin. I think it was his knee this time. See, that's going to mess you up when you're trying to gain minutes in the NBA. So Kevin might have an opportunity to get some minutes. That is, if they don't trade him. And this is the thing about being a lottery pick, as Kevin was. I think he was picked 9th that year. And being a lottery pick, teams still, and being young when he was picked, teams still see promise in him and upside. So he's on his rookie contract right now. If it doesn't work out with the Knicks, some team might take him, trade for him this year to see what they can get out of him. And then if they still see, he's now age 23. If they want to see, if he can really develop something, maybe they see maybe their coaching staff could develop something from him. They'll sign him to a minimum contract next year and try to do that, or play him in the G League, which I think he should have been playing 2 years ago in the G League. So now he's in a situation where he needs to earn his spot. And he now has the COVID thing. I tell you what, I'm rooting for Kevin Knox. I am, because of everything I just named. I'm rooting for him most of all because he's a New York Knick. Okay? There were other players I wish they had drafted. I would have taken either of the Bridges kids that year. I thought we were going to take one of them. But I had seen video of Knox, just like I do now. I was reviewing who we might pick, and I wasn't high on Kevin Knox. I thought he was a late first rounder, and that was based on upside. But they picked him. So he's a Knick. Okay? Obi Toppin was the fourth on my list, as far as draft picks last year, but they picked him. So he's a New York Knick. And I'm a Knicks fan, so I'm going to support Kevin. So this is his 4th year. And he's on the fringe. And his confidence has got to be hurt. Now, this can do one or two things for Kevin. It can either make him stronger or it can break him. That's where he's at right now. It can either make him stronger and he can come through and show his worth as an NBA player, or, he might be out of the league, or he might be on the end of somebody's bench for a couple of years while they're trying to see what they can get out of him. And the Knicks could very well trade him. Okay? Could very well trade him. That's why you haven't seen me mentioning him too much. To me, Kevin's in the lab right now. He's in the lab and he's in the valley of decision right now. he has got to come out and prove he's an NBA player. Okay, with whatever minutes he's getting, starting with his. I hope he doesn't have the COVID, because as you know, the COVID affects your wind. It affects your lungs, and he already has trouble with a motor. The last thing he needs is something to affect his lung capacity. Okay, so this is a tough ride. This is an uphill battle. So I'm rooting for Kevin. He's the underdog right now. That's what I'm saying. Now there's Knicks Nation is made up of millions of people, and in that there's gonna you're gonna have some assholes that's gonna say get rid of him. You're gonna have that in Knicks Nation. I try to ignore the assholes that come on my channel because they're gonna be there. But I'm asking those of you that are not, those of you that are real Knicks fans that watch more than 5 games a year and have something to say, that really watch all the games, follow the players, root for Kevin, support Kevin, hope for Kevin, because I want him to make it. Okay, I would like to see him. I hope he doesn't have the COVID. I hope it's just that maybe he was in touch with somebody that caught it or whatever, and they just, for protocol, they just sitting him that he's not really sick. And I hope that he comes back very strong. When training camp is here, I hope he's ready. I hope his motor is high and he comes like gangbusters. Sometimes I'm wondering if it's a motor issue or it's just his style of play. Because Kevin is really, when you watch him run, like when you see him get a rebound and run the floor on the break, he's got a smooth kind of running style. It looks like he's not trying hard to run, but he's covering a lot of ground. There are some players like that. They just have that aura like they're not trying, but they really are. And I sometimes think that that's the situation. He just gives that aura, but he really is. But then it gets exposed when he gets beat on the defensive end. It gets exposed when he gets beat on the back door, when he misses an assignment, when he doesn't rotate fast enough. Then it's not just him being smooth. It's him not having a motor. Okay. So I'm really pulling for him, and I hope he comes back strong because this could be pivotal. Now, the Knicks could trade him. It could happen at any moment. They could trade him. I don't know what they would trade him for. I'm anticipating trading for him for draft capital. Not really for another player. Thibodeau don't never have enough veterans. So whoever's a veteran out there, he might want him. But to me, the Knicks are stacked right now. Okay, so at the center spot, we got Mitchell Robinson, we got Nerlens Noel, and we got Jericho Sims, and we got Taj Gibson. At the 4 spot, we got Julius Randle, who's a workhorse, and Obi Toppin. And that's all you need to say at the 4 because they're trying to get minutes for Obi, right? At the point guard spot, of course, you got Kemba Walker now, followed by Derrick Rose, followed by Deuce McBride. At the 2 guard spot, you got Evan Fournier, followed by Emmanuel Quickley, followed by a possibility of Quentin Grimes. Right? You still got Luka Vildoza trying to make the team behind Deuce McBride. And then you got RJ Barrett followed by Alec Burks. And then hopefully Kevin Knox. Okay? So this is the NBA. It's very competitive. Okay? This is where we at. This is where we at. So, again, let's support Kevin. Let's pull for Kevin, man, because he really is on the precipice of either keeping an NBA job or losing his career right now, especially on the Knicks. He's on the precipice, at the very least, of being a former Knick, like Frank. Frank is going to be a former Knick. Now, if they bring Frank back on the exception, they got a $4.9 million exception they can use. They could bring back Frank. But I'm not anticipating that. And the reason I'm not is because if I was Frank, I would be getting as far away from New York as I could because it just hasn't worked out for him here. As much as I love him as a player, it just hasn't worked out for him here. So he has to, if it was me, I would want to start fresh in another city on another team. And it might be like that for Kevin. So again, I just want to pull for him. I want to pray and hope that he comes back strong and that he could make the most out of his NBA career. He's still young. He's still young. I mean, He's 22. He's 22 now. Yeah, 23 yet. He's 22. So he's still young. Still a young boy. And so it is still, he could still develop and become a very good NBA player. And he's got the fact that he can shoot the ball. When he learns how to shoot on the NBA level, and last year he can at least become a shooter off the bench for somebody. Okay. But he's got to bring the rest of his game. He's got to bring a motor. He's got to bring energy. He's got to bring some IQ to the game. I mean, he plays with IQ. Kevin's not a knucklehead. He plays with a high IQ. He learned that from Kentucky. He knows how to do schemes, but he's got to do it on the defensive end. He's got to be able to do it and react well on defense. He's got to be able to do that. One thing I do know about Kevin Knox, he's working his butt off. He's working his ass off to get better. He's not lazy as far as that. He's working very hard. He went down to Florida. He's working very hard down there with a trainer. He's come up to New York. He's been at the facility working very hard. He's trying his best. He volunteered to play in the summer league. He's trying his best to show his best. So let's root for this kid, man, because I don't want to see him lose his spot. I want to see him succeed. Okay? And that's all I have for today. I just was thinking about Kevin when I got the news that he was not going to be able to play in the summer league because of the COVID protocols. Man, that's a tough blow for this kid. That's a tough blow for him. So I just wanted to drum up some support for our boy Kevin Knox, because he's going through the school of hard knocks right now. Please be safe out there. Have a safe and good weekend. Happy Friday to you. Shalom.